Imagine meticulously building a fortress to protect your legacy, only to discover its walls are made of glass. Every treasure is visible, every weakness exposed. You believe you are the king in this castle, but you are merely the exhibit, and the architect is your enemy. This is not a metaphor. This is the digital world you inhabit every single day. We begin with a myth, a siren call so seductive that entire generations have devoted their lives to it. The myth of the digital public square. It is painted as the great agora of our time, a boundless forum where any voice can be heard, any identity can be forged, and any connection can be made. The modern idealist enters this space with noble intentions. He believes in authenticity, in the power of the shared story. He sees each post, each image, each fleeting thought shared into the ether as a single, deliberate brushstroke on the grand canvas of his life. He is building a monument to himself, brick by digital brick. When he announces a promotion, he believes he is sharing success to inspire others. When he displays his travels, he claims he is broadening horizons. When he confesses a moment of doubt or sorrow, he tells himself he is fighting stigma and building a relatable persona. He operates under the grand illusion that visibility is synonymous with value, that to be seen is to be relevant, and that to be known is to be powerful. He is an artist, he thinks, and his life is his masterpiece, openly displayed for the admiration of the world. This belief is the foundational error of the modern man. It is a philosophy born of comfort and a profound misunderstanding of human nature. It assumes the audience is a gathering of friends, when in reality it is a crowd of strangers, and in any crowd there are rivals, predators, and opportunists. The idealist willingly places himself upon a stage, adjusts the lighting and performs the story of his life, forgetting the first rule of power. The world is not a theater for your self-expression, it is an arena for competition. He believes he is the architect of his own legacy, carefully curating a public image. The tragic reality is that he is merely the raw material. He is the marble, not the sculptor. He provides the stone, the tools, and the design for his own undoing, and then marvels at the structure that eventually imprisons him. He thinks he is building a castle, but every transparent post is another window, another vulnerability, another indefensible position in a siege he does not even know is happening. The structure he is so proud of is not a monument, it is a mausoleum, and he is interring his own power within it, one post at a time. Now let us discard this naive worldview and adopt the lens of the strategist, the cold and pragmatic vision of Machiavelli. To him, this digital universe is not a public square. It is a principato nuovo, a new principality. It is a territory acquired not through inheritance or long-established right, but seized through fortune and virtue, through skill and opportunity. The founders of these platforms are the new princes, the new Medici and Borgia of our age. And like all rulers of newly acquired states, their primary challenge is control. They face a population unaccustomed to their rule, volatile and unpredictable. How then do they pacify and govern such a vast and chaotic domain? An ancient prince would have required legions of spies, armies of tax collectors, and a network of informants to understand the sentiments and capabilities of his subjects. It would have been a costly, bloody, and inefficient affair. The genius of the new digital prince is that he has engineered a system where the subjects do all this work for him, and they do it for free. In fact, they pay for the privilege of their own subjugation. Every time you post, you are participating in a voluntary census. You are not sharing your life you are reporting to an unseen sovereign. You announce your assets and acquisitions, telling the prince, and anyone else watching, what you have that can be taxed or taken. You confess your anxieties, your fears, and your weaknesses, providing a detailed map of your psychological terrain, highlighting the exact locations where leverage can be applied. You geotag your movements, informing the state of your physical whereabouts, your habits, and your associations. You declare your allegiances through likes, shares, and follows, painting a clear picture of your tribe and, by extension, your enemies. You surrender your strategic plans, your business ideas, your personal ambitions, believing you are manifesting your goals when you are simply telegraphing your next move to every opponent on the board. The prince of this domain needs no spies, for you are your own informant. He needs no secret police, for you broadcast your every transgression. He need not sow discord, for you eagerly engage in public disputes, weakening your own standing and that of your rivals for his benefit. This is the ultimate sign of weakness, not merely revealing your vulnerabilities, but actively, cheerfully, and systematically doing the work of your adversary for him. It is an act of strategic suicide, performed daily under the delusion of self-expression. The power of a true prince lies in what his enemies do not know. His intentions are opaque, his resources are hidden, his emotional state is a mystery. He cultivates ambiguity. You, on the other hand, cultivate a perfect high-resolution portrait of your own soul and hand it to the world, begging them to find the flaws. For the prince does not rule by force alone, but by making his subjects believe their chains are ornaments. Comment "Power sees all" if you are beginning to see the bars of your own cage, and subscribe, for in our next lesson, we shall teach you how these new princes use your own generosity against you. We have established the nature of this new principality, a domain governed not by edicts of stone, but by silent streams of data. The digital prince reigns over a population of willing subjects who document their own compliance. But how is this compliance so effortlessly secured? It is achieved by exploiting one of the most misunderstood virtues in the human lexicon, generosity. The master strategist knows that a man's virtues, when misapplied, become his most exploitable vices. And in the digital arena, your impulse to share, to give of yourself, is the foundational error upon which your subjugation is built. Let us now inspect this economy of submission, for it is here that your power is drained and your enemies are equipped. Machiavelli, in his timeless counsel to rulers, warns of the profound danger of liberality. A prince who wishes to be known as generous, he explains, will embark on a ruinous path. To maintain this reputation, he must be lavish, ostentatious, and endlessly giving. In doing so, he will swiftly deplete his treasury. Once his own funds are exhausted, he has only two choices: cease his generosity and be branded a miser, or levy ruinous taxes upon his people, earning their hatred. Both paths lead to ruin. The generous prince, driven by a desire for popular affection, inevitably becomes either despised or impoverished. This is not a paradox. It is a cruel calculus of resource management. You are the prince of your own life, the sole ruler of your sovereign mind. Your treasury is not filled with gold florins, but with assets far more precious in the information age. Your coffers hold your attention, a currency more valuable than any metal. They contain your time, the only truly non-renewable resource. They safeguard your emotional energy, the vital force required for resilience and decisive action. Above all, they protect your privacy, the strategic advantage of the unknown, the dark and quiet space where true plans are forged. This is your strategic capital, the wealth upon which your autonomy depends. Yet, you have been conditioned to practice a form of liberality so extreme it would make the most profligate Medici blush. You give it all away, not for territory or allegiance, but for a currency so debased it is functionally worthless, the validation of the unseen crowd. Likes, shares, fleeting comments. These are the counterfeit coins you receive in exchange for the keys to your kingdom. Consider the transaction. You post a photograph of a triumphant moment, a personal achievement, a luxurious purchase. You have given away a piece of valuable intelligence. You have revealed what you value, what motivates you, and what defines success in your eyes. In return, you receive a heart icon. You have traded a piece of your psychological map for a flicker on a screen. You share a moment of vulnerability, a struggle or a doubt, believing you are fostering connection. You have instead exposed a fissure in your armor, a weakness that a clever rival can later exploit with a well-aimed word or action. In return, you get a comment that says, "You are so brave." You have traded a strategic vulnerability for a hollow compliment from a stranger whose opinion holds no weight in the real world. This is the folly of liberality in its purest form. You are emptying your treasury to finance your own popularity contest, a contest run by the very prince who profits from your self-depletion. And just as Machiavelli predicted, this generosity becomes an inescapable trap. The first taste of validation is potent, but its effects diminish over time. Soon, the simple announcement of a small victory is no longer enough. You require a greater spectacle to elicit the same response from the crowd. You must become more lavish, more revealing, more dramatic. You begin to tax your own privacy more heavily, auctioning off deeper secrets and more intimate moments for a dwindling return of digital affection. You exhaust your emotional reserves performing for an audience that will forget you the moment you stop entertaining them. Ultimately, you are left with nothing. Your treasury is empty, your strategic capital is spent, and you have earned not the lasting love of the people, but their fleeting interest. And in the world of power, interest without respect is simply the prelude to contempt. This leads us to the second and more sinister consequence of your generosity. The information you so liberally distribute does not simply evaporate into the ether. It is a tangible asset. It is collected, collated, and weaponized. Machiavelli advises a wise prince to rely on his own arms, for mercenary forces are disunited, ambitious without discipline, unfaithful. By posting your life online, you are not merely emptying your own treasury, you are using its contents to hire and equip an infinite army of mercenaries who will sooner or later turn their weapons against you. Every post is an act of arming an unknown combatant. Who are these enemies you so eagerly equip? First, there are your direct competitors. The entrepreneur who broadcasts his hustle, detailing every step of his new venture, is not building a brand. He is providing free market research and strategic intelligence to his rivals. They learn his methods, anticipate his product launches, and identify the clients he is courting. He lays his entire strategy bare upon the table and then acts surprised when his ideas are stolen or his market share is eroded. The careerist who complains about his job provides his employer with a documented reason for his dismissal and his colleagues with leverage for their own advancement. He believes he is venting. He is, in fact, writing his own letter of termination. Second, there are your personal adversaries. The individual who flaunts their perfect relationship online creates a precise blueprint of their happiness, showing a jealous or malevolent actor exactly where to strike to cause the most pain. The person who details their political or social beliefs provides a comprehensive dossier for any future character assassination. In an age of ideological warfare, you are handing your enemies a transcript of your deepest convictions, which they will twist and use to cast you as a villain in their own narrative. You are not starting a dialogue, you are submitting to an interrogation and praying for a merciful judge. Finally, and most powerfully, you are arming the prince of the domain himself, the algorithm. This is the perfect mercenary, a force of unparalleled discipline and loyalty, programmed with a single objective: to hold your attention. Every piece of data you generously provide is used to refine its methods of control. It learns your desires, so it can dangle temptation before you. It learns your fears, so it can amplify them, keeping you in a state of agitated engagement. It learns your triggers, your vanities, your blind spots. It then constructs a world tailored specifically to your psychological profile, a comfortable prison designed to keep you scrolling, clicking, and above all, sharing. You think you are using the platform, but the platform is using your own nature against you. It has created a system where your desire for connection becomes the very mechanism of your isolation, and your search for identity results in your complete predictability. The true strategist understands this lethal dynamic. While the amateur is broadcasting his every move, the master is silent. He observes. He gathers intelligence from the endless stream of confessions that others call content. He learns the weaknesses, desires, and patterns of his rivals without revealing any of his own. He lets them build their glass fortresses, and he takes notes on the cracks in the foundation. His power does not come from the noise he makes, but from the silence he keeps. While others are busy arming their enemies, he is studying the weapons they have so foolishly laid at his feet. Your liberality becomes his strength. Your transparency becomes his camouflage. This is the brutal truth of the economy of submission. Your attempt to be loved by everyone makes you vulnerable to anyone, and your desire to be seen ensures you will never see the real threats gathering just beyond the light of your screen. We have dissected the flawed economy of the digital principality, revealing how your generosity is transmuted into your own subjugation. You are impoverished by your liberality, and you arm your enemies with your transparency. The logical conclusion for any rational actor would be to withdraw from this disadvantageous exchange. Yet millions continue to broadcast their lives, driven by a force more powerful than strategic reason, the tyranny of perception. To truly sever these chains, one must do more than understand the external system. One must conquer the internal traitor, the ego. The ultimate battle is not fought on a feed, but within the silent fortress of the self. Machiavelli understood that the most formidable fortress a prince can possess is not one of stone and mortar, but the one built within his own mind. He must insulate himself from the volatile currents of popular opinion. In his words, a prince must above all avoid being hated or despised. In the physical world, this is a matter of calculated action, avoiding rapaciousness, honoring promises, and demonstrating strength. But in the digital domain, where every action is subject to infinite interpretation by an invisible global mob, avoiding hatred and contempt becomes an impossible task. To exist in this space is to be judged, and to be judged is to be perpetually at risk. Your victories will inevitably breed envy, which is the seed of hatred. Your failures, your imperfections, your mere humanity will invite ridicule, which is the essence of contempt. The modern idealist believes he can navigate this minefield through careful curation. He constructs a meticulous online persona, a flawless effigy of success, virtue, and happiness. He believes this digital armor will protect him. This is a fatal miscalculation. The performance of perfection is not a shield, it is a target. It presents a smooth, unblemished surface that invites the world to find the first crack. The more perfect the image, the greater the schadenfreude when it inevitably shatters. Furthermore, this relentless performance erodes the very foundation of the self. The prince becomes a slave to his own portrait, spending all his energy maintaining a facade that corresponds to nothing real, a hollow idol demanding constant sacrifice. He lives in terror of being exposed, not as a villain, but simply as a human being. The truly strategic mind recognizes this game is unwinnable and therefore refuses to play. He embraces a concept that is anathema to the modern world: calculated irrelevance. In an age obsessed with personal branding and visibility, the greatest power lies in being unbranded and unseen. The strategist understands that to be known is to be predictable, and to be predictable is to be controllable. Therefore, he cultivates a strategic vacuum. He withholds his opinions, his accomplishments, his routines, his very essence from the public ledger. His strength is not in a carefully crafted image, but in the complete absence of one. He becomes a ghost in the machine, an observer who cannot be observed, a player who moves pieces without ever appearing on the board. This is the sanctuary of silence. While others are consumed by the anxieties of maintaining their public image, agonizing over captions, scrutinizing engagement metrics, battling anonymous critics, the silent strategist is free. His mind is not cluttered with the psychic noise of 1,000 distant opinions. His energy is not squandered on performative outrage or manufactured positivity. He is liberated from the exhausting, unending labor of self-presentation. This freedom allows him to dedicate his entire focus to what truly matters: tangible action and the accumulation of real-world power. While his competitors are building sandcastles of online influence, he is laying the foundations of an empire in stone, far from the prying eyes of the tide. Being underestimated, overlooked, or entirely unknown is not a failure. It is the ultimate strategic asset. It is a form of camouflage so perfect that you can stand in plain sight and remain completely invisible. This internal discipline, this mastery over the ego's craving for acknowledgement, is the first and most crucial victory. But it leads to a more profound understanding of how to manipulate the world. A prince must not only govern his own mind, but also understand and direct the perceptions of others. The fatal flaw of the online exhibitionist is his belief that he is controlling the narrative. He is doing the opposite. He is surrendering his narrative to the mob. He gives them the raw material, his thoughts, his feelings, his life, and allows them to shape it into whatever story they wish. They will cast him as a hero one day and a villain the next, based on their fickle whims. He is a marionette, and his strings are pulled by the anonymous hands of the crowd. The Machiavellian strategist reverses this dynamic entirely. He knows that true control of perception is not achieved by speaking louder, but by creating an information scarcity. By remaining silent and selectively revealing only what serves his purpose, he forces others to fill the void with their own assumptions. And because human nature abhors a vacuum and fears the unknown, these assumptions will often be colored with a measure of respect or even dread. They do not know what he is planning, so they must assume he is planning something significant. They do not see his weaknesses, so they are forced to imagine his strengths. His ambiguity becomes a canvas onto which they project their own anxieties and insecurities. He is not loved, for love is a bond of obligation that men, being fickle, break when it serves their purpose. He is not hated, for he has given them no specific target for their animosity. Instead, he cultivates a more durable and potent force, a profound, unsettling respect. It is the respect born of uncertainty. His unpredictability is his greatest weapon. While his rivals exhaust themselves reacting to the daily dramas of the digital world, he operates on a different timeline, immune to the transient passions of the moment. His moves are his own. His thoughts are his own. His power is absolute because it is sourced from within and is not subject to the approval or disapproval of any external tribunal. This is the ultimate reversal of the modern condition. The average person lives a life of quiet desperation inwardly, while projecting a life of curated success outwardly. He is a king in his own feed, but a serf in his own soul. The strategist does the opposite. He may be invisible to the world, a ghost in the public record, but he is the absolute sovereign of his own mind. He has conquered the tyranny of perception by refusing to be a subject in its kingdom. He has built a fortress not of glass but of silence, and from within its impenetrable walls, he watches the world, understands it, and prepares his next move, unburdened by the judgment of a world he has chosen to ignore. You have understood the nature of the digital principality, the ruinous economy of submission, and the internal fortitude required to escape it. You have learned to build a fortress of silence. Now, before we unveil the final act of power, the masterstroke that solidifies your dominion, ensure you are subscribed. For this final wisdom is not for the passive spectator, but for the aspiring prince ready to transform knowledge into legacy. The quiet war for autonomy is won not by hiding, but by striking from the shadows at the moment of your own choosing. This is the art of the hidden action and the construction of a real-world state. The culmination of this strategy is not a life of permanent retreat, but a calculated and devastating re-entry into the world. It is the execution of what Machiavelli would recognize as a supreme act of virtù, the decisive, masterful action that seizes opportunity from the hands of Fortuna. While your competitors were absorbed in the grand theater of online life, performing their daily dramas and telegraphing their every intention, you were engaged in a different kind of enterprise, a conspiracy of one. The greatest advantage of a conspirator, Machiavelli notes, is secrecy. The plot is compromised the moment it is shared. Your ambition, therefore, has been your most closely guarded secret. It has grown in the dark, nourished not by public acclaim but by silent, relentless preparation. This is the moment of the masterstroke. It is not an Instagram announcement or a LinkedIn update. It is a seismic event in the physical world. It could be the launch of a business that renders its chattering competitors obsolete overnight. It could be a political maneuver that reshapes the landscape, executed while all eyes were on a trivial social media scandal. It could be the creation of a work of art so profound it requires no marketing, only existence. The key is that it arrives without prelude. It is a thunderclap from a clear blue sky. Your rivals, who have mistaken your silence for inactivity and your absence for irrelevance, are caught completely unawares. Their intelligence gathering systems, their social media feeds, were feeding them useless noise, lulling them into a false sense of security. They were watching the wrong game. This sudden, overwhelming success is a perfect application of another core Machiavellian principle, that injuries should be inflicted all at once. For your competitors, your victory is a swift and brutal injury. It is a single, decisive blow that shatters their assumptions and upends their strategic position. Because it happens in one fell swoop, the shock is immense, but the period of suffering is brief. They are defeated before they even have time to mobilize a defense. Conversely, Machiavelli advises that benefits should be distributed little by little, so they may be better savored. For you and your allies, the fruits of this victory, the power, the wealth, the influence, are not a fleeting moment of viral fame, but a lasting resource to be managed and enjoyed over time. Your success is not a spectacle to be consumed by the masses, it is a foundation upon which to build. And this is the final, most crucial distinction. The ultimate goal is not the singular event, no matter how spectacular. The masterstroke is merely the beginning. The true victory is the consolidation of a new order. The aim of the prince is not merely to win a battle, but to establish a stato, a state, a stable and enduring structure of power. While the online influencer chases fleeting relevance, clinging to the ever-shifting currents of algorithms and trends, the strategist builds institutions. His legacy is not an archive of ephemeral content, but a tangible enterprise, a network of loyal allies, a portfolio of real assets, a body of work that will outlive him. He uses the power gained from his decisive action to immediately lay the foundations of this state. He establishes new rules, creates new systems, and rewards those who have proven their loyalty in the real world, not those who offered hollow praise online. The digital world offers anyone a throne, but it is a throne made of smoke, situated in a kingdom of shadows. Its power is illusory, granted and revoked by unseen forces on a whim. The acclaim is intoxicating, but nutritionally void. It provides the sensation of importance without the substance of influence. The true prince understands this. He may use the digital world as a listening post, a vast library of human folly from which to gather intelligence, but he never confuses the map for the territory. His ambitions are terrestrial. He seeks to build something real, something that can be touched, something that can endure the inevitable decay of digital platforms and the shifting sands of public opinion. The power you have built through silence and strategic action is real. It is the power to say no. It is the power to operate on your own terms, beholden to no audience. It is the power of a life lived, not a life performed. The ultimate sign of weakness is the outsourcing of your self-worth to the judgment of the crowd. It is the confession that you require their applause to feel alive. The ultimate sign of power, therefore, is the profound and quiet confidence of a life that needs no witnesses. It is the construction of a throne that exists within you, a sovereignty so complete that the opinions of the outside world are nothing more than the distant sound of wind in the trees. You have escaped the glass fortress, not by shattering its walls, but by simply walking out the door and never looking back. You have ceased to be the exhibit and have become the architect of your own world, a world built on the solid ground of reality, far from the fleeting shadows of the screen. This is the final victory, not to be the most watched, but to be the one who no longer needs to watch, for you are finally free.